I'm Lauren Mitchell, 32 years old. My hands tremble as I grip the steering wheel of my Mercedes parked just outside my childhood home in Short Hills, New Jersey. My sister's cruel words from a family dinner when I was 12 slice through my mind. Not good enough, never the bright one. Then my parents, their relatives. Even my cousins burst out laughing, their mockery echoing in the dining room. Tears burned behind my eyes, my heart pounding so hard I thought it'd break my ribs. Tonight, at my dad's 60th birthday dinner, my $15 million secret is about to shatter their perfect family image. Their golden child, my sister, wears bronze, her shine long faded. I glance at my phone, the Forbes article with my face on it glowing in the dark, confirming my moment has come. A text from my best friend pings, "You sure about this dinner? It's gonna be explosive." I nod to myself, fingers tightening on the wheel. Years of their betrayal, my sister stealing my chances, my parents dismissing my dreams have led to this. My company, my wealth, my truth will hit them where it hurts most. Before I dive into my story, I want to know what time it is, where you are, and what city you're watching from. I'm thrilled to see how far my story reaches. Hit like and subscribe to join me on this journey of turning family betrayal into freedom. Growing up in Short Hills, New Jersey meant living in a neighborhood where lawns were always trimmed and parents pushed their kids to excel in school like it was a competition. Our family home was a typical colonial-style house, the kind that looked impressive on the outside, but hid all the pressure inside. My father, Joseph Mitchell, was a tenured physics professor at a nearby university, setting the tone for everything with his strict standards. He spent evenings grading papers and expected the same level of precision from us. My mother, Kimberly Mitchell, had once run her own interior design business, creating beautiful spaces for clients, but she gradually gave it up to support my father's career. She started skipping her own networking events to attend his department meetings, and by the time I was in kindergarten, her design sketches sat forgotten in the attic. My sister, Stephanie Mitchell, 2 years older, was the one who fit perfectly into that world. She absorbed facts like a sponge, acing every test without breaking a sweat. Dad would light up when she brought home straight A's, buying her new books, or taking her to special dinners as rewards. Stephanie's room filled with trophies from math competitions and science fairs, while mine stayed bare. I showed early signs of creativity, solving problems in ways that weren't straight from the textbook. In kindergarten, I organized a group game where kids traded toys based on what they needed, like a mini economy. My teacher praised my ability to see connections, but when Dad heard, he asked if I was keeping up with basic counting. By 4th grade, I clutched my first high score on a coding assignment, an A, after weeks of practicing simple programs on the family computer. I rushed home, bursting into the living room where Dad sat reviewing his lecture notes. "Dad, look at this. I built a program that sorts numbers automatically." He glanced at the paper, pushing his glasses up. "That's better than usual, Lauren. Keep practicing." For a moment, I felt a spark of hope. Then Stephanie walked in, waving her perfect score on a physics quiz. The teacher said I got the hardest question right that no one else did. Dad's face transformed, beaming as he examined her paper. "Outstanding, Stephanie. This natural aptitude will open doors for you." He turned to me. "Why can't you apply yourself like your sister?" Mom stood in the kitchen doorway, her eyes meeting mine with a flicker of sympathy, but she said nothing, just squeezed my shoulder. Later at dinner, while Dad spent the meal dissecting Stephanie's answers. The patterns stuck through elementary school. Stephanie's perfect grades earned her praise and privileges like extra allowance for academic excellence. I excelled in creative subjects like designing a neighborhood map app idea for fun, but struggled with rote memorization in science. My grades were solid B's, but that meant try harder suggestions from Dad. The 6th grade tech fair hit hard. I created a project tracking weather patterns with basic code, collecting data from local stations and predicting trends. It was beyond what most kids did, involving real algorithms I learned from online tutorials. Stephanie submitted a standard circuit board demo, the kind from kits everyone used. Hers won first place. On the drive home, Dad explained, "Your project was interesting, Lauren, but science demands accuracy, not guesses." Stephanie's ribbon sat on the dashboard, mine crumpled in my backpack. What Dad didn't see was my growing interest in tech investments. At 10, I started scanning his discarded newspapers for articles on emerging companies. Words like startup and venture capital puzzled me at first, but I tracked patterns, noting how innovative apps solved everyday problems and boosted stock values. One breakfast, I shared my first insight. "Dad, that app company in the news could skyrocket because it fixes a common user issue no one else has." He folded the paper, amusement in his voice. "What do you know about markets, Lauren?" I explained my reasoning from patterns I'd spotted. "Companies like that usually rise 20% in 6 months after launch." When it happened exactly as I predicted, I showed him the update. "Lucky guess," he said, turning to quiz Stephanie on her upcoming test. That dismissal pushed me to develop my skills in secret. I hid a notebook under my bed, simulating investments with fake money. But the real blow came with the scholarship letter. In 6th grade, my tech teacher recommended me for a special program at a prestigious STEM academy, sending an acceptance letter with partial funding. It never reached me. Stephanie intercepted it, hiding it in her room to prevent me from outshining her. I only learned later, but at the time, I assumed rejection. Dad refused to pay for extra tutoring, saying, "We need to focus resources on Stephanie's potential. She's the one heading to top schools." Mom nodded along her own dreams, shelved, mirroring the family's priorities. I pushed forward, borrowing library books on coding and markets. By 11, I could spot trends in tech stocks, like how social apps changed user behavior. Stephanie noticed my notebook, once snatching it during a fight. "This is stupid. You'll never be the bright one like me." Her words stung, but they fueled me. Dad overheard and laughed it off. "She's right, Lauren. Stick to basics." That night, I vowed to prove them wrong, starting a secret log of predictions that would one day build my empire. By my teenage years, I was hooked on tracking tech trends, sneaking my father's business magazines to study which apps were changing how people connected. It was 2005, and platforms like MySpace were exploding. I'd spend hours analyzing why some startups soared while others crashed, scribbling predictions in my secret notebook. One day, I noticed a small company building an app for group messaging. Nobody paid attention to it yet, but I saw its potential to simplify how friends planned events. I told Mom over breakfast, "This app could be huge in 6 months. It solves a real problem." She stirred her coffee, barely looking up. "Sounds risky, Lauren. Focus on your schoolwork." My sister Stephanie smirked from across the table. "Yeah, stick to something you're actually good at." I bit my tongue, used to her jabs, but kept tracking. 6 months later, that app's stock jumped 25% after a big launch. I showed Mom the article, expecting a nod. She just said, "Nice guess," and asked Stephanie about her debate practice. School became my proving ground. I joined the tech club in 9th grade, teaching myself to code basic algorithms from free online tutorials. My projects weren't flashy, but they worked, simple apps for tracking homework or sharing notes. My tech teacher, Mr. Anthony Collins, noticed. "Lauren, you've got a knack for seeing what's next in tech," he said, after I built a tool to organize club events. "Keep at it." His words stuck with me the first time an adult saw something in me beyond try harder. But at home, it was always Stephanie's show. She dominated debate competitions, her trophies piling up in the living room. Dad attended every match, clapping loudest when she crushed opponents with her quick arguments. My coding projects. Barely a mention. The regional tech competition in 11th grade was my shot to shine. I spent months on an AI project, a basic chatbot that predicted user preferences based on their search history. It was rough, but ahead of its time for a high schooler in 2007. I poured everything into it, testing late into the night, fueled by the idea of finally earning some respect. When I got the call that I'd made the finals, I raced to tell my parents. Dad, Mom, I'm in the regional tech finals. Dad looked up from his laptop. That's nice, Lauren. When is it? I told them the date, my voice shaking with excitement. Mom frowned. That's the same day as Stephanie's state debate finals. It's a big deal for her college apps. They chose her event without a second thought. I competed alone, presenting to a packed auditorium, my hands sweaty but steady. My chatbot took first place, beating out projects from private school kids with better resources. I called home, expecting Mom to pick up. I won, Mom. Her voice was distracted. That's great, honey. Stephanie got second in debate, such a close call. My trophy went into my closet untouched. That same year, Stephanie pulled something that cut deeper. I'd shared my chatbot idea with her months earlier, hoping for once she'd be impressed. Instead, she used my concept for her own project at a national coding contest. She tweaked it just enough, changed the interface, kept the core algorithm, and submitted it as hers. Her version won second place, earning her a feature in the school paper and another round of praise from Dad. Stephanie's branching into tech now, he bragged at a family barbecue, relatives nodding. I stood there stunned, my own work stolen right under my nose. When I confronted her in her room, she laughed. You're never the bright one, Lauren. I just made it better. Her words hit like a slap, worse because she knew exactly what she'd done. I wanted to scream, but I kept quiet, my anger simmering into resolve. The final straw came during college application season. I applied to 7 schools, including Dad's alma mater, a top-tier university with a strong tech program. My grades were solid, as in computer science, B's in sciences, and my competition win gave me a shot. Stephanie, of course, aimed for Harvard, her debate record and perfect GPA a golden ticket. When my rejection letter from Dad's school arrived, I hid it, crushed but not surprised. At dinner, Dad cleared his throat while Mom served lasagna. I heard you didn't make my university, Lauren. I froze, fork in hand. Yeah, but I got into state with a partial scholarship. He scoffed. State takes anyone. Their tech program's average at best. I pushed back, heat in my cheeks. It's actually top-ranked for AI research. Mom cut in, voice soft but firm. Lauren, we can't afford 2 kids at expensive schools. Stephanie's Harvard acceptance is the priority. They'd pay for her, but I was on my own. That night, I lay awake, their words looping in my head. Stephanie's theft, their dismissal, the way they'd chosen her over me again. I'd been hiding my potential for years, scribbling predictions in my notebook, tracking stocks nobody else noticed. My latest prediction, a small AI startup poised to disrupt online retail, had just doubled in value. I didn't tell them. Instead, I started planning. They'd underestimated me my whole life, but I'd make them see. Not now, not tomorrow, but when the moment was right, I'd show them what I could do. I swore to myself I'd build something so big they couldn't ignore it, a success that would hit harder than any argument. My secret portfolio grew, and with it, my determination to prove them wrong. College application season in 2008 was brutal. I'd set my sights on 7 schools, including my father's alma mater, a top-tier university with a cutting-edge computer science program. My grades were strong, straight A's in coding classes, solid B's elsewhere, and my regional tech competition win gave me an edge. But the rejection letter from Dad's school hit like a punch. I sat on my bed, staring at the words, "We regret to inform you," my stomach twisting. I didn't tell my parents, knowing they'd brush it off. When I mentioned State University of New Jersey's partial scholarship for their AI-focused tech program, Mom barely looked up from her phone. That's fine, Lauren, but it's not exactly prestigious. Dad nodded. We're putting our money towards Stephanie's Harvard tuition. It's a better investment. Their words stung, but I'd expected it. I packed my bags with the few $1,000s I'd saved from summer jobs and left for State, determined to prove them wrong on my own. State's campus was a mix of old brick buildings and shiny new labs, a place where I could finally breathe. Nobody knew me as Stephanie's lesser sister. My roommate Michelle Brooks became my lifeline. She was a marketing major with a sharp wit and zero patience for family nonsense. One night over late-night ramen in our dorm, I spilled the story of Stephanie's betrayals. Michelle leaned forward, eyes fierce. "Girl, forget them. Build something they can't ignore." Her words lit a fire in me, and I decided to keep my progress secret, saving my success for the right moment. My first computer science class introduced me to Professor Jennifer Bennett, a former AI researcher who'd worked at a major tech firm. She didn't teach from dusty textbooks. She brought real-world problems like predicting app adoption rates based on user data. During a group project, I suggested an algorithm that factored in social media trends, not just raw numbers. It outperformed everyone else's models. After class, Professor Bennett pulled me aside. "Lauren, your approach is unconventional, but it's brilliant. You see patterns others miss." She handed me a stack of books on tech investing, from venture capital strategies to startup case studies. I devoured them, spending nights in the library mapping out market trends. That summer, I worked as a barista at a tech-heavy coffee shop near campus, serving coders and startup founders. The manager, Angela Larson, noticed me reading tech blogs during breaks. "You're into this stuff, huh?" she asked, then started sharing tips on how small investments could grow. She showed me how to spot early-stage startups with potential like ones building AI for e-commerce. Inspired, I took $2,000 from my savings and invested in a little-known AI startup focused on personalized shopping. It was a risk, but my research showed their tech solved a gap bigger firms ignored. 8 months later, their stock tripled after a major retailer signed on. My $2,000 turned into $6,000, enough to cover a semester's books and fees. My portfolio grew to $50,000 by junior year, all hidden from my family. The real turning point came when I found the letter. During a weekend visit home, I was cleaning out my old desk and discovered a crumpled envelope tucked behind a drawer. It was the STEM Academy scholarship offer from 6th grade, the one Stephanie had hidden. My hands shook as I read it. Full funding for a top program, a chance to study with the best. She'd stolen it to keep me in her shadow. The betrayal burned hotter than ever, crystallizing my plan. I wouldn't just succeed. I'd make them face their mistake when the moment hit hardest. I started tracking my family's lives through mutual friends, learning Stephanie was aiming for a law firm job after Harvard. I kept my own path quiet, telling my parents I was studying computers when they bothered to ask, which was rare. After sophomore year, I landed an internship at a small New York tech firm analyzing startup pitches for investors. My mentor, William Ward, was a senior analyst who'd fought his way up in the male-heavy industry. "Tech's a tough field for women," he warned me on my first day. "You'll need to be sharper than everyone else." I thought of Stephanie's theft, my parents' dismissal, and nodded. "I've been ready for years." William taught me how to pitch to skeptical investors, navigate boardroom egos, and trust my instincts on market shifts. My first big call was recommending a niche AI company focused on data privacy. The firm ignored it, calling it too speculative. I invested $10,000 from my portfolio. 6 months later, that company's stock soared 200% after a government contract. My colleagues started noticing me, but I stayed low-key, saving my wins for myself. By senior year, I was running a small investment club with classmates, pooling $5,000 to test my strategies. We focused on AI startups using my mix of market data and social trend analysis. Our fund grew 40% in a year, catching the eye of the campus newspaper. I didn't send the article home. Instead, I kept building my portfolio, reinvesting every dollar and planning for the day I'd face my family. Michelle caught me late one night staring at that old scholarship letter. "You're really going to make them regret this, aren't you?" she asked. I smiled, my resolve hardening. "Wait until they see what I've built." I pictured the moment, some big family event, their faces when they learned the truth. That scholarship theft wasn't just a betrayal. It was the fuel for my revenge. I swore I'd reveal everything when it would hit them hardest, when their perfect image would crack wide open. After graduating with honors in computer science in 2012, I moved to New York, diving headfirst into the tech world. My first job was an entry-level analyst position at a mid-sized investment firm evaluating AI startups for senior partners. Most of my colleagues came from Ivy League schools, their confidence backed by fancy degrees and family connections. They sized me up a state grad with off-brand sneakers and dismissed me as out of my league. I kept my head down using the skills I'd honed in college. 3 months in, I spotted a pattern in user data that screamed potential for an AI-driven advertising platform. I pitched it to the team, blending market metrics with social media trends. The senior partner, Jonathan Grant, raised an eyebrow. "Interesting, Lauren, but too risky for our clients." They went with safer bets. I invested $15,000 of my own money in that platform. 6 months later, it landed a deal with a major ad agency, and its stock surged 250%. My portfolio hit $100,000, but I didn't say a word. That quiet win set the stage. I climbed the ranks fast, becoming a senior analyst by 26, the youngest in the firm. My approach, mixing hard data with cultural shifts, caught the eye of Jonathan, who started pulling me into high-stakes meetings. I advised on deals that outperformed the market by 30%, building a reputation for spotting what others missed. By 28, I took a leap and launched Tech Insight, my own investment firm focused on AI startups nobody else dared touch. I poured $800,000 of my savings into it, working 18-hour days in a tiny Brooklyn office. The first year was brutal, pitching to skeptical clients who questioned my age and gender. Then, Eric Blackwell, a tech founder who'd sold his company for $40 million, took a chance on me. "I like how you think outside the box," he said, handing me $5 million to invest. My strategy paid off, growing his portfolio 50% in a year. Word spread, and Tech Insight's client list exploded. By 2025, we managed $1 billion in assets, and my personal net worth hit $15 million. I bought a sleek Manhattan condo with views of the Hudson, but nobody back home knew. I kept my family in the dark. On visits to Short Hills, I rented cheap compact cars and wore plain sweaters to blend in. My parents still saw me as the kid who messed around with computers. My sister Stephanie had graduated Harvard Law and landed a job at a corporate firm, but I heard through mutual friends that her career was stalling. She'd lost key clients, racked up credit card debt to keep up her polished image, and was scrambling to maintain the golden child aura. My parents didn't notice, still gushing about her law school pedigree at every holiday dinner. They barely asked about my work. Once over Thanksgiving, Dad glanced at me across the table. "Still doing that computer stuff, Lauren?" I nodded, dodging details. "Something like that." Mom chimed in, "Stephanie's handling a big case now, such a demanding job." I smiled tightly, already planning. Through Michelle Brooks, my college friend, I kept tabs on my family's situation. She'd stayed close to mutual acquaintances in Short Hills and passed along news. Stephanie's firm was downsizing, and she was on thin ice after losing another client. My parents' house needed major repairs, leaky roof, outdated wiring, and they were strapped for cash, even talking about taking out a loan. Michelle texted me one night, "Your sister's drowning in debt. Your parents are clueless." I sat in my condo staring at the message, a plan crystallizing. My father's 60th birthday dinner was coming up, a big family event with relatives and colleagues. It was the perfect stage. They'd built their whole image around Stephanie's success, oblivious to her cracks and my empire. I'd waited years for this, since the stolen scholarship, the copied code, the dismissed dreams. This was my moment to break their illusion. I started preparing. I pulled up Tech Insight's performance report, screenshots of my Forbes feature as the AI investment queen, and double-checked my net worth numbers. Every visit home I'd played small, letting my parents call my work fiddling with stocks, or VO Van, as Mom once put it in a rare phone call. "Why don't you get a stable job like Stephanie?" she'd asked, oblivious to my billion-dollar firm. I didn't correct her. Instead, I bought a tailored suit for the dinner, one that screamed success without saying a word. I booked a luxury rental car, not the usual beat-up sedan, for the drive to Short Hills. Michelle called me the week before. You're really doing this, aren't you? Blowing it all up. I laughed, my voice steady. They've had it coming for years. My sister's struggles, my parents' blind favoritism, their crumbling finances. It all lined up. The birthday dinner would be their stage, but my spotlight. I'd reveal everything, not just to prove them wrong, but to make them feel the weight of their choices. I pulled into my parents' driveway in Short Hills, the sleek lines of my luxury rental car a stark contrast to the compact junkers I'd driven on past visits. My tailored suit hugged my frame, a silent signal of the truth I'd hidden for years. Tonight was my father's 60th birthday dinner, a big affair with relatives and colleagues packed into their colonial home. I'd planned this moment since I found that stolen scholarship letter, since Stephanie copied my code, since my parents dismissed my dreams as vo van. My $15 million empire was ready to shatter their perfect family facade. Inside the dining room buzzed with chatter. Mom greeted me with a quick hug, her smile warm but distracted. "Lauren, so glad you made it." Dad nodded from the head of the table, already deep in conversation about Stephanie's latest law firm case. My sister sat across from me, polished in her designer dress, playing the golden child. I sipped my wine, waiting. The small talk dragged, relatives asking about my computer job, Dad brushing it off with Lauren still tinkering with that stuff. Then Stephanie leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Still chasing those tech dreams, Lauren. You're not good enough to be the bright one in this family." The room erupted in laughter, my parents joining in, their chuckles slicing through me. My hands clenched under the table, but I forced a tight smile, my heart pounding with the weight of what was coming. Before I could respond, Kyle Evans, my friend Michelle's husband and a colleague of Stephanie's, paused mid-bite. "Wait. Lauren Mitchell, from Tech Insight." The table went quiet. He pulled out his phone, scrolling. "You're the AI investment queen from Forbes, right?" I nodded, my pulse racing. "That's me." Kyle turned his screen, showing my cover photo in front of a Manhattan skyline. "This says your firm manages $1 billion. Is that true?" The air shifted, eyes darting to me. Mom's fork froze. Dad's brow furrowed. Stephanie's smile vanished. I stood, voice steady. "Tech Insight is my company. I founded it. We manage $1 billion in assets, and my personal net worth is $15 million. Gasps rippled through the room. Dad tried to recover. "Lauren, you never said anything about this." I cut him off, years of suppressed anger rising. "I didn't hide it. You never asked. You were too busy praising Stephanie to notice." I turned to her. "You stole my scholarship in 6th grade to keep me down. You copied my AI code in high school to win your little contest. And I faced my parents. You refused to pay for my college because Stephanie's Harvard was the better investment. You called my work vo van every chance you got." Stephanie's face flushed. "That's not fair, Lauren. You were never good enough to compete with me." Mom reached for her hand. "Honey, let's not escalate." But I wasn't done. "You're drowning in debt, Stephanie. I know about your lost clients, your firm's layoffs. You needed that golden child image to survive." I turned to my parents. "Your house is falling apart, and you're begging for loans." I could fix it all with one check, but I won't. Relatives shifted uncomfortably, whispers starting. Dad's voice was sharp. "Why would you hide this and embarrass us now?" I laughed, bitter. "Embarrass you? You embarrassed me my whole life, laughing when Stephanie called me worthless." I set my glass down, the clink echoing. "Here's my offer. Apologize right now in front of everyone for dismissing me, for choosing her for everything. Or I walk out, and we're done forever." Stephanie's eyes welled up, but her voice was venom. I was jealous. "Okay. You were always so smug with your tech nonsense, but I'm still the one they love." Mom gasped, tears streaming. "Lauren, we didn't know." Dad stood defensive. "We did what we thought was best for both of you." I shook my head. "You did what was best for your egos. No apology then. We're finished." I grabbed my purse and walked out, their stunned silence trailing me. My heels clicked on the driveway as I reached my car, the weight of years lifting off my shoulders. I didn't look back. Months later, Michelle texted me updates. My parents sold their house to cover debts, moving to a cramped condo. Stephanie's firm fired her after her latest client loss hit the news, a scandal that tanked her reputation. Relatives stopped inviting them to gatherings, humiliated by the truth. I felt no guilt, only freedom. This journey taught me a hard lesson: toxic families don't get to define your worth. I built my empire despite their betrayal, and cutting them off set me free. Stephanie's jealousy, my parents' favoritism. They were chains I broke by believing in myself. My advice: watch for hidden envy, even from those closest to you. It can destroy relationships if you let it. Define your own value, chase your dreams, and surround yourself with people who lift you up, not tear you down. That's the real path to success in a world quick to judge. Thank you for listening to my story. Subscribe to my channel and comment below if you've ever been underestimated by family. Share your journey to inspire others.